Welcome to Mr. Podcast with Claude.
And Justin.
We are back discussing the Dear Holmes mystery series, talking about the November 2022 case, the case of the missing astrolabe.
What happened to the astrolabe?
Where did I put that astrolabe?
Where's my
I
astrolabe?
astrolabed it down here, and now it's astro gone. All right, so we've covered case letters 1 and 2. The first one was from a really innocent sounding man who's just a mathematician who's got everything
Misunderstood.
wrong, misunderstood mathematician who just was unfortunately working for Professor Moriarty, and now everybody knows Moriarty is a top criminal, and his reputation has now been ruined, and he can't find a job, and he went to go get a job, or sorry, he went for a job interview, and then an astrolabe went missing, and all the fingers in academia were pointing to him.
All the fingers in academia.
Because nobody else cared in the world.
No,
And
it's
then
true. Yeah, the higher ups, like nobody gave
yeah,
a shit. It was this one constable who worked for the
yeah,
university
yeah,
and the
the constable that
professors hanging
could,
around.
yeah. The dean doesn't
Nah,
care, like,
nah.
none of the
You
board
handle it.
cares.
I'm not getting involved in this.
Yeah, so the second letter was from the constable in question here, Bentley Salo, and he basically said, "Hey, Mr. Holmes, don't worry about anything. I know what happened. It was that dastardly Ewan Funacan, and he Funa could steal that astrolabe, and
He Funa did.
when he Funa did." And you should Funa arrest him. Um, so that's kind of where we left off. We of course have a cast of characters here that could be suspects. We've got Ewan's former friends and colleagues at the university. We've got a what's her name? The charwoman, not chairwoman.
Charwoman,
Charwoman,
yeah.
please. She's
Elsie Northcott,
yeah.
I believe.
Sounds like a criminal to me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
Uh,
more.
she's the one who discovered the case was missing after earlier not
Yep.
seeing any
She had a
evidence being
key
broken.
to the
Had the key to
case.
it, yeah.
Um,
Um, and then we've got the two professors, one of which was playing music very loudly, which could have hidden the sound of a case
yep,
being broken.
yep.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
That was pointing
Yeah.
out as being strange.
Yep, yep. Yeah, there were two. One of them like said, I forget who that was, said like he passed by the area,
Mhm.
but he didn't actually verify
He didn't see
that.
any broken glass, but he didn't,
Yeah.
like, check that the astrolabe was still there, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that opened up the possibility that it was actually already gone at that point.
Mhm,
Which would make the obvious answer, something to do with this charwoman, and because she had the key,
mhm.
and maybe she's in cahoots with one of them, or both of them. I remember one of them had this kind of like
Me Too
Me
movement.
Too harassment stuff insinuated. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it seemed like a weird detail to throw in. So
Yep,
um and then there was obviously the constable himself.
yep.
There's some weird stuff with the soot.
He doth
And
protested too much about his sleeve being torn.
let's not forget the torn cuff and the
Yeah,
cigarette case with the numbers on it, which
yep.
he
4,
mysteriously
8,
did not
16, 16,
mention.
23, 42.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Does it mean something? I don't know.
Maybe it's just a serial number for his cuff. Or a
Really
cigarette
might
case,
be.
sorry. For his cigarette case, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And we had this mysterious jeweler, Theodore Wicks,
Oh,
who's
yeah, they name checked the jeweler.
named at the end, and it's like, okay, why, you just have to ask the question, like, why give a
Mhm,
name to a character if there's no
mhm,
relevance, so it makes me think that
yeah.
character will come up again.
Yeah, a
um
name in the first act goes off in the third, I heard.
yeah, hey, that sounds like a genius said that. um
Whoever said that was a genius.
Oh, and there's also the question of like, why is there so much glass? And
Mhm.
another question is, who put the stone there? In place of the
Ah,
astrolabe.
yes, the rough stone.
Yeah, why was the rough stone there? And was it verdigris or was it
Oh,
green?
was it green or green? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a question. It was brown. Yeah, it was the green color from oxidation and rust because it was copper.
yeah, right, which is what that's supposed to be. So,
Yeah.
like, that's just a weird element. Like the first letter Ewan is, saying like, "Oh, that must have been used to break the case," but
Mhm.
like the inspector doesn't even or the constable didn't even say that.
Mhm.
And
It was
I'm
left in
not
its place. Yeah, it seems like it's a message.
yeah, like there's something, so like I feel like that's a big question mark. Like what does that have, whoever's really guilty, like why did they put that there? Is it even possible that whoever put it there didn't steal the astrolabe and there's some, complicated thing going on where it was stolen and then the case was broken and the thing was put in, or it was stolen, the case was broken and then the thing was put in? Those are sort of
Mhm.
different. Just like how many people were involved in the operation, or is it one person? I don't know. There's a lot of open questions about these characters and who did what, and I really have no idea what to expect from the third letter. It'll be interesting to see like what they pick up, and what they don't mention, and how it sort of elaborates things. I mean,
Mhm.
like I remember in the second letter, like it was kind of a shocking revelation that Ewan had been working as a chimney sweep.
Yep, he left it
um
out conveniently.
and never mentioned that. Yeah, it's strange. It's like, was he embarrassed that he
Mhm.
was doing that? Is that what we're supposed to think? And he didn't want to admit it to the great Sherlock
'Cause
Holmes?
he half of his letter was about him trying to find work, but he was obviously trying to find work in academia, but he
Right.
did have a job apparently,
Yeah,
according to the
yeah.
constable.
And you would think that would like contribute, like if he isn't just too embarrassed to admit it, you would think that would contribute to
Mhm.
his story to be like, I'm so desperate, I just had to like sweep the chimney to be able to stay in this place to do this
Mm.
like that just feels
Mhm.
like an obvious thing to say for sympathy. And so it makes me think that yeah, either he's super embarrassed by it or the constable's actually lying. I mean, that's the only
Yeah.
other explanation that makes sense to me. Like that wasn't even true, and it's some kind of frame up or whatever. Like, like there's some kind of weird thing going on there. So
Mhm.
like I don't know. Supposedly there was soot found, at the scene, but I mean, could someone else have taken it? Maybe someone else found out he was doing that, if it wasn't the constable. But I mean, it's really weird if it's a constable, but I do think this is the kind of story where that's not out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Sex in the City, but not Crime in the City. Alright,
Wow.
please forgive me. Um,
Wow. Oh, that pun. Oh my god, that pun hurts.
it was barely a pun.
Oh man, crime in the
Um,
city. Wow.
I've
Wow.
heard of insidious crimes, but not insidious crimes. Okay, that's the last one until I think of another one. Okay, so let's see. I have just cracked open case letter
Ooh,
3, and
ooh.
I have just electronically mailed those to you.
I have just
Um,
electronically received it
yeah.
and electronically
So
opening it right now.
so one of the cool things I didn't know was going to be a part of this experience of the Dear Home series is actually the experience of opening the letters and seeing who they're from. Because before you
Yeah.
even read the letters, it tells you something about what's to come. And
Yeah.
so the second letter was a surprise because it came from a different person related to the case. It came from the constable instead of the
Right.
person who was accused, who sent us the first letter. So this letter, Justin, as you're seeing right now, case letter 3 is even extra interesting because it's 2 separate letters.
Oh shit. I just went to the end and I'm like, "Oh wait, that doesn't make any sense." And then yeah, it's
It's
2
not only the
letters.
2 letters, but guess what? It's letters with the same, letterhead from the Cheshire Constabulary and
Right.
from the same date. So I think I haven't read them yet, but I think it's from is it from 2 different constables? No, that's not true.
No, I it's from
Mm,
should I tell
well, I
you?
don't know. Is it a secret?
Or are you gonna read
Well,
it? I
now I'm
don't know.
confused.
I see who it's
I
from.
see who it's from as well. Okay, so I guess we'll spoil the mystery. The first letter is from Ewan, the suspect,
You and again,
and the
yeah.
second one is from Albert Tierney, who I don't know who this is. Have we heard this
Who
name
is
before?
introduced in the first sentence of the first letter, who's apparently a lawyer.
Aha! That's why they're sent together on the same date. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
guess I guess the what we're supposed to believe is it's sent on Cheshire Constabulary letterhead because he's in jail.
Being held there. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
being
I
held
think that's
there.
the
Okay,
idea.
cool. I
Yeah.
thought I was getting really nervous because I thought 2 different constables were gonna be like, "Hey, I'm on this
I'm the real
case.
constable.
Yeah, don't believe the other constable, believe me."
Don't believe his
Yeah.
lies.
If you get a letter from a different constable, he's lying.
There's no other constable but me. Yeah, and it I just looked at letter 2 and it does match pretty well what letter 2 looked like.
Okay. Oh, did you do the forensics?
So yeah, I was just doing
You
some
got
light
your
forensics.
magnifying glass and
Yep.
made sure it all
Yep.
matched? Okay, good.
I just wanted to see, is that what it looked like? And it is.
Mhm,
So, I will tentatively believe the source of these letters.
mhm.
I don't know if I'll believe what they say, but
Well, I'll just note one difference between the case letter 2, which came from the constable, and the case letter 3, which came from Ewan and his a lawyer, is on the letterhead on case letter 2 from the constable, the date was handwritten, 3 May,
mhm.
and it was typed, in the letter
Yeah,
from case letter 3. So
I see
maybe that
that.
means nothing. Maybe it means
Yeah.
everything. So, Justin, I
Yeah.
think since there's 2 letters, I'll read one and you can read the other.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask you want me to read them this time since you were
Yeah, we could
had to read them last
we
time,
could
but we can split if you want, that's
we could
fine.
split them up. That way, we both have a 50-50 chance of understanding what's happening.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure I'll have to go over it again anyway, and
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll go over it again regardless of who reads what. So
right.
anyway, yeah,
You wanna
that sounds like a
you wanna
plan.
read the first one?
Shall I start? Okay. All right. Well, here we go. All right. Telegrams, Chester Post Office, Cheshire Constabulary, 142 Foregate Street, Chester, 5 May, 1895. So this is 2 days after the previous letter.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. Dear Mr. Holmes, I deeply appreciate your retaining Mr. Tierney to represent me. When Providence allows it, I will repay you for your kindness. By now, you've certainly heard of my arrest last night and some account of the events that led to it. Per Mr. Tierney's instructions, I am putting down on paper the day's events from my perspective. Didn't you already do that? In hopes that, sorry, I won't comment that much. In hopes that you might be able to glean some detail I've overlooked and refute the charges leveled against me. On the night of my arrest, I'd been in my room at the Adelard Arms, really more of a rented closet, for over 2 hours. The room has just enough space for a narrow, lumpy bed and a few hooks for clothing and a small pine table to hold a jug with, quote, drinking water, so rusty and opaque that I wouldn't drink it if I were dying of thirst. It was on that lumpy bed that I sat, working on a proof to keep my mind sharp for prospective employers when Constable Sallow began pounding on my door. This was moments before 8. My only visitor before that had been the chambermaid at close to 7. She's a lovely girl who just moved here from Wales last week, though that didn't make the pitcher of fresh, quote, fresh, cloudy water she delivered any more appetizing. Opening the door, I demanded to know why the constable was calling at such a late hour. He answered, "A little bird told me something about you, Fenucan," then demanded to search my room for the stolen astrolabe. I was irritated, but knowing I didn't take it, I embraced the opportunity to clear up the matter. The constable went through the clothes I'd hung up, mostly some plain shirts and my quote work trousers, and then asked me to show him the bags I'd traveled with. I did so, opening the lid of my old leather trunk, and he verified it was empty, save for book and two, a book and two.
Hmm.
Sorry, a book and two of my journals.
For
Sorry,
say
I
for a book, it should have a comma and two of my journals.
yeah, that's I think that's what messed me up there. Okay, sorry. A book and two of my journals. I demonstrated that a sack in the corner of my room was full of soiled clothing. He rifled through the sack, then proceeded to inspect the bed, nearly stomping on my toes as he pushed past me.
Listen, this guy
With
did it. He's just so like uppity. Like he did it. Like I don't care anymore.
with each item he inspected, he grew angrier. He interrogated the pillow
Hey, Pillow,
before
who did it? Tell me what you were doing last night, Pillow. Why are you filled with feathers, Pillow?
before searching the bed sheets and turning over the bed. I was worried he might start pulling the feathers out of the thin mattress, but he dropped it back into place after an interminable minute. As he stormed out of the chamber, he looked over to the table and paused. His gaze was fixed on the jug of water. After a short pause, he took it up and poured the rusty water out onto the ground. I hardly had a chance to question him before, to my utter amazement, what looked like a cheap copper locket tumbled out of the jug. The constable picked it up and asked me, "What's this now?" as he inspected it. I told him I had no idea and that I hadn't noticed it when pouring my glass of water earlier. He nodded as he
Mm.
fiddled with the object in his hand. Seconds later, it split open, and a shining red stone the size of the nail on my little finger fell out. "Anyone else been in your chamber?" I was relieved to hear something besides an accusation and explained to him that no one came into my room. I'd been there ever.
Thank you for the
I'd
opportunity to say it wasn't me, but as it was probably me. I mean, no one else.
I I've been there ever since the new water was delivered by the chambermaid. I can only assume that someone slipped the stone into the pitcher before it came to my room. "Hmm," he said. He observed my clothes on the wall again, and as he did so, the chambermaid walked past the door to my room. Constable Swallow summoned her and asked her if she'd lost anything recently. She shook her head. He held the locket up so that she could see it clearly. "Are you sure? What's your name?" She answered, "Winnie, Winifred, Dowar, Dawar." Sallow handed her the locket, asking, "This isn't yours, Winnie?" She turned it over in her hand several times as she said, "No, not at all," and returned the object. "And this?" he asked, showing her the shining red stone. The chambermaid stammered, "No, it's very nice, but no, it's not mine." Constable Swallow went on, "And you've never seen it?" She quickly shook her head. "Of course. I'll still need to speak with you before I leave." Oh, sorry, that's him saying that. She quickly shook her head. "Of course, I'll still need to speak with you before I leave," he said, before asking her to wait outside. Once the maid left, the constable's countenance darkened. He began to question me more aggressively. "Curious engraving, no?" He showed me that an elegant letter M was etched onto the interior of the locket's lid. There was also a series of numbers scratched more crudely along its bottom. "Curious?" I asked. Uh, yes, you don't know. Yes, you don't know anybody this might belong to? Thinking I'd realize what he was suggesting, I shook my head no. I told him that if it belonged to Mac, I'd expect an MB or simply a B for his family name. Constable Swallow chuckled and said, "Not that old friend, your other one." And stressing the first
Mhm,
word, he added,
mhm.
"The professor." All right,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I I tried to protest my innocence. I explained the nature of my prior connections to Moriarty, but it did no good. "You're drawing dead," Sallow told me. "You might as well fold now." Never heard that expression.
I know.
I insisted that I'd never seen the locket, but the constable calmly said, "Oh, just the locket you've never seen then." Restraining myself from shouting, I explained, "Or the ruby knife." Before I could finish, the constable continued, "You know it's a ruby then." It didn't seem a great leap to suggest that a ruby red stone might in fact be a ruby, but I was too nervous to point that out. Moments after that, I was being led out of the inn in shackles. The chambermaids, there's more than one, couldn't help but look and whisper to each other as I walked past. The handful of men drinking at the inn, Ken Gorwid among them,
Oh!
we're looking, what are you doing here? We're looking over their shoulders and asking the innkeeper questions, no doubt about my arrest. At the station, I spent an hour or so alone in my cell before Constable Sallow returned. He said that experts will need to be consulted about the red jewel found in my room, but that he'd already spoken with officials from Adelard. I expect Mac or Kin were at least some of those, quote, officials, and verified that, quote, "it is highly likely this was a gem taken from the astrolabe and therefore from Adelard College. Thank you again for dispatching Mr. Tierney this morning. Uh, you are the first person in years to give me the benefit of the doubt, and given the pivotal role you played in the downfall of my former employer, I think it's remarkable that you've been so decent to me. I am depending on you, please, to help me out of this horrible ordeal. Yours truly, Ewan Finnegan."
Wow. What's it gonna say? Like, why is the case getting more complicated?
I know, right? They added shit. Okay, do you want to read your letter? Because I've
I
already
don't
got some
know. I don't think
questions.
we can add on to it. I've already got questions too. Okay, let me start with just processing what we read.
Okay.
So, where did the locket come from?
Yeah. Uh, that's a good question, definitely. So, okay, so let's see. So he goes in,
A jug of
he's looking
water.
around. Let's see.
He poured the
So,
rusty water on the ground, and then he said, "I hardly had a chance to question it before. To my utter amazement, what looked like a cheap copper locket tumbled out of the jug." So copper, let's underline copper
good
vertically,
point. Good point.
tumbled out
Yeah.
of the jug. So he found. So this was the jug of water that the chambermaid brought. The
Yes.
water that he said was too dirty to drink, even though later he says he drank it.
Wait, he said he drank it?
Yeah, he said, next sentence, "I told him I had no idea and that I hadn't noticed it when pouring my glass of water earlier." So he says he poured
Hmm.
a glass of water from this thing, but before he said it was too the water was so rusty and opaque that I wouldn't drink it if I were dying of thirst.
Well, maybe he poured it into the glass and then he saw the
And
color
then he
and
said, okay.
then
So
he said he won't drink it. I'm just saying it's
he didn't say he
possible.
drank it. He just said he poured a glass. Okay.
He put in a glass. Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean, yeah, we'll see.
so
We'll see.
presumably the chambermaid brings in a thing of water with the copper locket in it. Maybe she doesn't know it's in there, but she brings it in.
Was it already in there? I
I'm
mean, I
assuming it
think
was already in
there's
there.
what if the constable like put it in there while
I'm
he's like
thinking
searching
I'm
around?
thinking Gorwood might have put it in there because he's at the
I
end.
agree. Gorwid looks very suspicious
Yeah,
by this mention at the end. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
And
I agree.
so, okay, so not only did they find the locket, but then seconds later, it split open and a shining red stone the size of my nail fell out. Okay, so so that fell out of the locket. So the locket had the red stone inside of it.
Yeah.
So the locket itself isn't necessarily from the astrolabe, but the gem is from the astrolabe.
The gym is,
So
yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
it'd be too weird to put just the red stone in the water. They had to put it in a container, like an infinity stone or something.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's the
something like
it has to
that.
have a container or else you can't control the power.
Yeah, I don't know what the point of that is. Maybe just to make this insinuation about Moriarty?
Ah, the
Um,
M. Okay, so the M was on the locket,
yeah.
not on the gem.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
interior of the locket. Okay.
Like, that makes it seem like it has something to do with him because, he worked for Moriarty and,
Yeah.
that's where all this suspicion has come from, or at least partially, so,
Well,
uh,
I do want to just point out there's a jeweler in question, and a jeweler would know how to etch, letters onto
that's a good point. Yep,
uh
yep.
objects like
That's
this.
very, very true. Yep.
So, but this is a lot of effort for someone to frame him. They're doubly framing him. He was already pretty framed before,
Yeah.
but they didn't have enough evidence, so they let him go. And now they're like, well, we really need to get more evidence. So let's put so whoever sold, presumably whoever sold the astrolabe, picked off one of the valuable rubies. I guess there's
Yeah.
multiple gems that are valuable, but they're like, well, we will. It's more important for us to get away with this and pin it on someone than to keep all the value. So we'll put
Right.
this gem in a locket. We'll etch M on it, and we'll get it into him. But it's such a weird way to get it into his room, and it also doesn't seem guaranteed that the constable is going to find it. Unless
Yeah.
so it's like now it makes me the constable's involved because he's the one who's like, "Let me check your water."
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. Why is he suspicious of the
Now here's a
water? It's
question.
weird.
In letter 2 from the constable, he says that he walked into Finnegan's room and was like, "I didn't see anything suspicious." So is this the version of him not seeing anything suspicious, or is this another encounter?
Wait a minute.
Remember?
Wait a fucking minute. Hold
Yeah.
on. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, that's not consistent.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, because he said, yeah, he said,
He did say at
I
the end,
located.
he says at the end, "I plan to pay a visit to Mr. Finnegan at the Adelaide Arms tomorrow at dawn." So that's the
Oh, so
very
maybe
end.
this is what that
So the
is.
first time, what does he say the first time though?
He says, I located Finnegan at his lodgings and brought him to the station for questioning. This interview bolstered my theory. Blah blah blah. And then that's when he finds out about the chimney sweeping.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess, yeah, I guess I'm confused again because I thought he was being held at the constabulary, but this makes it sound
I
like
don't think he
that's not
was. I think
true.
they in his letter, he said there wasn't enough evidence to hold me, so he let me go. So he goes back home, but then I thought in the second letter they say,
But why is he writing from? Oh wait, the constable wrote the second letter.
yeah, the constable wrote the second letter.
Oh, okay, okay. So constable goes back, finds the ruby thing, then takes him in.
Well, I think he goes there and doesn't see any evidence of the ruby thing and leaves him and then comes back later
Yeah.
because
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, because I'm trying to I can't find where he said that he looked around and didn't see any evidence of it.
On the night of my arrest. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the second paragraph.
Uh, where is it in the letter too where he talks about looking at Finnegan's room?
Uh it was towards the end, I think. Uh this is uh here it is. Here it is. Yeah, second to last paragraph. I plan to pay a visit to Mr. Finnegan at the Adelaide Arms tomorrow at dawn. If all goes well, I'll have the opportunity to inspect his lodgings, even if only briefly, for any signs of the missing astrolabe.
Okay, so he didn't say he already inspected it briefly. He was saying he's gonna do it
Yep,
later.
yep, yep,
Oh, okay. So this is him doing it
yeah.
later. Okay,
This is
that makes
that.
more sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Okay, but, there's a little problem here.
Problem?
He says, uh, "I plan to pay a visit to Mr. Finnegan at dawn."
Yeah. So this would have
And
been on the 4th of May.
in this letter, it says, "By now," the first paragraph, "By now, you've certainly heard of my arrest last night."
Yeah. So Finnegan was supposed to come at dawn on the 4th, and sorry, Constable was supposed to come at dawn on the 4th, and Finnegan was arrested in the evening. So there's a time jump, but it's still the same day. It's just a time.
Why in the evening? Wait, so he found evidence of the astrolabe there and he didn't arrest him then? He waited and
Well,
arrested him
let's see
later?
what he says. He says he was arrested last night. That's what he says. Maybe he didn't show up at dawn. He just planned to show up at dawn.
Okay, I'm
But
just I'm just
he
noting
slept in. Hey, it's a weekend.
something's weird with the
He's
timeline
been
here.
constabling all week, you know.
Moments after that, I was being led out of the inn in shackles. Okay, so it basically says here that, when Constable makes the visit, that's when he's arrested. He characterized it as last night in the letter, but the constable said he was going to go at dawn. So
Yeah, it is weird because
something's weird.
he says on the night of my arrest, I'd been in my room for over 2 hours. So it sound so I don't know if that means he had just gotten back. I don't know how much we're supposed to read into that, but on the night of my arrest, I'd been in my room for over 2 hours. So that means that there was a period of time that day that he wasn't in his room. So
Yeah.
someone could have done something. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
but
I mean,
why
I think
wasn't he in his
yeah.
room? Was he out chimney sweeping? Like, what was he doing?
Yeah, he doesn't say, interestingly, like, "What were you doing?" Yeah, your account of the events. I'd been in my room for 2 hours. Never you mind what I was doing
And
before that.
he's very what's the word? Um, when somebody complains about things, bitchy. Um, but like
Yeah.
he's like, it was on that lumpy bed that I sat, working on a proof to keep my mind sharp for prospective employers. Like, I don't know if I buy that. You're in the middle, so you're in the middle of being accused of stealing something from the only school that might have hired you after being turned down for even interviews at anywhere else. And instead of trying to use your mind to prove your innocence, you're working on a proof. Keep your
Mhm.
mind sharp for prospective employers? Buy that. That's a really weird thing to be like, "Well, they think I did this thing. Oh, well, let me work on a proof." It's not like the case was dismissed. They just didn't have enough evidence to arrest him at the
Hold
time.
them. Yeah.
So, that seems suspicious to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I mean, yeah. I think it could go either way, but just in terms of like, well, if he really believes he's innocent, then it's like I might as well just focus on work, get my
Like,
mind off it. I don't know.
he's so not a normal person that he just is like, "Well, I didn't do it, so I'm just gonna work on a proof." Okay,
It does make him a weirdo. I agree. Yeah,
I
yeah.
I
It's just
I think it's
remotely possible.
weird he mentions the chambermaid and gives the details that she's from Wales.
Oh yeah,
That I don't know
forgot about
why
that.
that was a thing,
Just moved here from Wales last week.
and in
Yeah.
that same paragraph, the constable basically so here we go. He says, "Opening the door, I demanded to know why the constable was calling at such a late hour." So he's again saying it was that evening of the 4th, it wasn't at dawn. Um, and because honestly, the constable didn't really have anything else to go on. He was just like, "I'll go tomorrow at dawn and search and see if I can anything cursory in his room." But he didn't really have anything to go on But when he actually shows up, he says, "A little bird told me something about you." So basically, somebody ratted him out. Somebody, said, "Hey, go check the water pot or whatever."
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, yeah, what does that mean? A little bird told me something about you. Like, what is
Yeah.
that? What is that?
Well, it means a bird says, "Hey, he's got evidence in his room," because he says, "A bird told me something about you, Finnegan, and then demanded to search my room for the stolen astrolabe."
Okay, okay. So, well, okay. So here's the thing. Like in the previous letter,
Yeah.
he said, "I plan to pay a visit at dawn to look for the astrolabe." Right? He's
Yeah.
already planning to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Now he ends up not going at dawn. He ends up going at night, and he
Yeah.
says, "A little bird told me something." So like he already was gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like wondering like what who's the bird and what did the bird say? Basically.
Yeah, I think the bird so far, the bird seems to be Gorwood. He's the one who's showing up everywhere.
Mhm.
And I think he says, "Hey, check the water pot." He's got evidence of the
Okay.
astrolabe in the water pot.
You think he mentioned the water
Yeah,
pot specifically?
because I think
Okay.
whoever the birdie is the one who framed who's trying to frame Finnegan and who
Mhm.
put the gem in the water pot. Yeah.
I will mention that in the previous letter, Gorwid does say he's the one who tells the constable that Ewan used to work for Moriarty.
Yep.
Which is kind of what I thought maybe he was alluding to, that a little bird told me something about you.
Yeah.
That he actually just meant the Moriarty thing.
Mhm.
And Gorwid explicitly is the one who told him that. So
Oh, so you're
anyway,
thinking that little birdie said, "Hey, Finnegan used to work for Moriarty."
yeah. That when I initially read that, that's what I
But
thought it
this I thought
meant.
everybody knew that before. I thought that was the whole
He clearly
point.
didn't know that uh uh because there's a paragraph in the previous letter where he says, "At the time I knew nothing of Finnegan, but his former colleagues' concern over his visit and the fact that he'd recently spent time in the
Oh.
atrium intrigued me, so I pressed further." So and this is when Gorwitz says he worked for
So he doesn't
Moriarty.
subscribe to Academic Reputations Monthly.
No, clearly not. He's not clued into the latest gossip of what former
Up and down.
assistants
Who's up and
of
who's down?
criminal masterminds might be looking for work.
Okay. So I'll buy that. Good call, good catch. So the little birdie didn't say go look in his room for the evidence. The little
I
birdie
mean, I'm not ruling that out. I'm just throwing
yeah,
this as a
so that
possibility
makes sense.
because it feels consistent.
But it also doesn't help, right? Because you made a good point that he was already gonna go look for the stolen astrolabe. So
Yeah.
even so, this other version of what the little birdie told him still doesn't help because he already had reason to be suspicious. The fact that you work for Moriarty doesn't make you more suspicious if he was already suspicious. So it doesn't seem to catalyze his behavior, which is I think what we want. He was already suspicious of him, and he already thought he did it. And he was already gonna go look for the astrolabe in his room. So I don't know what the little birdie said that made him do anything different, except for he's either said, "Hey," the little birdie said, "Hey, he's worked for Moriarty, therefore he's more likely to."
No, he didn't already think it. He didn't already think it.
But he tried
Um
to arrest him the day before.
yeah, but that was only after he heard this thing about well, he heard a couple of things from Gorwin and
Yeah.
the other guy. Like he heard that he was there, so
Yeah.
like he had the opportunity, and he heard that
Okay,
he
so
used
what
to
about
work for
this?
Moriarty.
What if in the second letter when he says, "I'm gonna go pay a visit to Moriarty," I'm sorry, that's a different letter. When he says, "I'm gonna go pay a visit to Funikin," that he's doing that because the little birdie told him he used to work for Moriarty. I think that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
That's the catalyst. He wasn't gonna
yeah.
go the next day at dawn until he heard from the little bird that he used to work for Moriarty. Does that make sense?
Uh Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty much makes sense.
Okay,
Um,
because I thought he was like,
um,
I think he did it, but I don't have enough evidence, so I'm gonna go tomorrow and look for evidence.
well, yeah,
And
so he
Moriarty,
here's the thing, he brings him in for questioning, um, uh, but, uh and then he finds out the thing about the soot, you know, the chimney sweeping, and that there was soot
yeah,
there. And that makes him also, you know, suspicious. Um, but I'm just confused why he didn't go with Dawn like he said he
yeah.
was going
I
to.
also want to point out as I don't know what the word is. I keep looking for not finicky, but is there's a word for guys like Funikin. Um, God, I can't think of the word. There's a word for it, but is he's very finicky and specific about things, right? And I don't think he's the kind of guy who would walk around town with soot on him, tracing soot around. As specific as he is about how everything needs to be nice and neat, and he looks at the
Yeah,
quality of
yeah, I
everything,
agree.
he looks at the quality of everything, and he's always talking about that. He's this close to Patrick Bateman, right? So like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think he's walking into a job interview with soot on him, or even
yeah,
a college campus with soot, like without noticing the soot. That's the even more
yeah.
important part.
Never mind, like, to commit a crime.
Yeah, exactly. Never mind the committed crime.
Which seems totally ridiculous. So yeah, it definitely makes me think it's a frame job. Like
Yeah.
someone knew that he was doing that, and so they like got some soot and like planted it there. That
I
would be
gotta
my
say,
guess.
who's ever doing this might be Moriarty because they're pretty dastard. They're thinking of everything. Like, there's like three angles of attack here. He's there at the scene of the crime. He's got witnesses saying he was there. They got the
Yeah.
soot. They planted the gym in his in his room. Like, it's a
Mhm.
lot of forces trying to get him. A lot of effort trying to get him pinned for this crime, which is strange. I don't know if it's that big a deal. It's just an astrolabe. It's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
Queen's
yeah.
jewels, like.
Well, you know, it makes me want to mention that thing from the first letter that I thought was weird. At the end of the first paragraph, he says, I've been falsely accused of
Mm.
stealing a priceless astrolabe from a university where I sought employment, and in truth, I do not think these accusations are mere coincidence.
Yeah, that makes me think it's personal. Like, someone
Yeah,
it's not just like the astrolabe and all these circumstances are circumstantial. But
yeah,
it's really about, "I wanna destroy you, Funakan. There's something about you I have to destroy, and this is my way to do it." But it's
yeah.
not even like the culprit wants the astrolabe for
Right,
money type
right.
of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it seems
It's
like.
not necessarily about the
Especially, and that goes to
astrolabe.
the point about why they would get rid of one of the jewels on it, right?
Yeah,
Because they're not trying to do it for the money, they're trying
yeah.
to ruin him for some reason. So the question now I would ask if I was Holmes is, who is Funakin in love with? Was he trying to marry someone above his
Mhm,
station? Did he divorce someone?
mhm.
What's the romance angle here? Because that's one thing we haven't heard yet. Is any real thing of romance? We saw that the
Yeah.
chambermaid and the charwoman and the Me Too thing, but
Mhm.
that's what I would go to next is like, what are the romantic relationships here that nobody's talking about? Because if you think about the time period here, right, this is a guy who's got no real means. He's got a reputation
Mhm.
he's trying to save.
Yep.
And he's embarrassed about his station in life. He doesn't tell people that he's cleaning chimneys, if that seems to be true, and all that stuff. So I do wonder if he's trying to woo a woman who's related to the culprit, and who's trying to make sure that she doesn't marry him. And this is the way to ruin him forever because if he gets thrown in jail, there's no way she can marry him or whatever.
Right.
And the person who is doing this has told her, hey, he's no good, he's with Moriarty, whatever. But
Mhm.
she won't listen, and so this is their
Mhm.
way to really make sure it won't ever happen. And maybe this person's rich, maybe they're like, oh, he just wants to marry you because you've had a dowry and he's got no other prospects and for money and that kind of thing. So that's where my head would go at this point because it's so much effort. And it doesn't seem like the thief did it just to get some money and to blame somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Wasn't there something mentioned about that? Uh, let's see. Uh, let's see. Like when he's talking about the other professors, he says something that made me something I remember that seems sort of connected with what you're saying. I'm trying to find it here. Um, okay, let's see. Da, 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 da. Okay. Um, uh, okay. Blah blah blah. Okay. Uh, all right, all right. Yeah, where is that? I really thought
What were you thinking about?
I thought there was something about something like well they wouldn't steal it because they don't need the money. Like I thought there was some line like that
Oh, there
at
was
some
a line
point.
like that. Let me think.
I haven't been able to find it, but I really think I remember something like that. Um let's see. Okay. Okay. Uh-huh, blah blah blah. Okay. Okay. Blah blah blah. The said. Okay. I really thought there was a line like that. I seem
Let
to
me
be unable to locate it.
see. Yeah, there was in the first letter, right?
Was that actually in the first
I
letter?
think it was the first letter.
Maybe that's my problem. I was looking in the second one. Let's see. Uh, okay.
Let's see. Hmm.
Yeah, I swear I remember that. Okay.
You're right. Maybe it's the second one because it sounds like more of the second one.
Yeah, but I just looked through the second one. I couldn't
Because it
find
was
it. I
like,
don't
yeah,
know.
this person didn't need the money.
Yeah, I swear there was a thing like that. Um, God, I should have highlighted this. Um, okay, blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Wait,
Let's see.
was it early?
Oh, here we go. From what I know of the three witnesses, none strikes me as a thief. Gower is something of a snob, and Butchert is far from favorable reputation with the barmaids, but both are well compensated by the college. Maybe that's both
Okay.
are well compensated by the college.
Okay. Okay. Oh, and from their dress, I surmise they also have substantial means beyond their
Ah,
wages from Adelard, which would further dissuade them from an impropriety like this. That's the line I was looking
okay,
for.
there it is.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that just goes along with what you're saying that the motive wasn't like money or
Yeah.
something basic like that to steal the
Mhm.
thing, but they're actually trying to frame him.
Mhm.
I think that supports that idea.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing I was gonna say is in terms of what the bird said,
What did the bird say?
another reason why I'm slightly doubtful that the bird actually said something about the water is that he doesn't look at the water first. Like he looks at, clothes,
Mm,
and he looks in
yeah,
the
I think you're
bed
right. I
and the
think the
trunk.
bird told me something about you means and something about you is your reputation. So I think it was about the Moriarty connection, not about where to look for for the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just luck that he found it. I don't know. I mean, that's where we go back to like maybe he's
Hmm.
implicated in this. I'm not sure. Maybe he's hiding something. Maybe he, suffered something at the hands of Moriarty or whatever and it's revenge or,
Oh, I like
you know,
that. The culprit was a victim of Moriarty, or maybe collateral damage, and now can't get to
yeah.
Moriarty and just wants to deal some damage.
Anyone who worked with him, like, yeah, something
Okay,
like that. I don't
okay,
know. That's just that's something that came to mind when I saw it.
I'll buy it.
So yeah, I mean the M thing, is
It's so
definitely
obvious, though, isn't it? The M thing.
it is super obvious. And then yeah, the other thing I was thinking about, I think it's Gorwood. I keep forgetting who's who here. So it's uh what are their names again? God,
Gorwit
dude,
and
let me.
Bouchard.
Okay, and but what are their first names?
Oh, no one knows that.
Is it Ken Gorwood and Mac
I
Butchart,
think
or is it Matt Gorwood and Ken
that. Well, if we knew that, we could solve the case.
Butchart?
Let's see.
I'm trying to find the place where they introduce those characters.
Mackinkin. Uh, yeah, McCann Butchard and Ken Gorwood. Yeah,
Okay.
Mac is short for
What where
McCann.
where is that, by the way?
That's on the second page of case letter one. Second
The
paragraph.
page,
Sorry, third paragraph.
second page, third paragraph.
Yeah, one, two,
Uh,
three.
oh boy.
First letter, second page, third paragraph.
Uh,
Most recent starts with most recently.
oh, it's in that paragraph.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, all right. So Mac Butchart and Ken Gorwood. Okay, so M, right? There's the Mac connection. He's not Ken though. So, but they did say that if one of them was in on it, then they both should have been. So I'll just throw that out as a possibility as well.
Who was the one who was playing the music loudly?
I think that was Mac, although I'd have to look to be sure. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, who was playing the music? I think that was mentioned in the second letter. Uh blah 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 blah. Okay, let's see.
Butchard said he had the phonograph playing beside his desk, so I'm assuming that means he was the one playing it.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's Mac.
Is that Mac? No, that's Ken.
Oh. What, really? I thought I just Mac is Butchart.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and Ken is Gorwood. That's
Oh,
that's why I
oh,
wanted
sorry.
to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
this
yeah.
straight.
Butchard is saying that Ken was shouting Mac. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, sorry. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I had the phonograph playing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah.
Okay, now who?
Yes.
Now the one who's at the end and letter three is Gorwood.
Is Ken Gorwood. Yeah.
Now, what are the
Yeah.
odds that they're both in on it? Because if we go with our like protective, culprit theory here, someone's trying to frame Funikin because they're trying to protect a loved one. How would they both be in on it? Uh-oh, let's go back to what's her name? The darling no one's talked about all podcast. What's her name from the first letter? Who was all
Oh, Ella?
is it
Talking
Ella?
about Ella?
Not Elise. So that was the charwoman. Is it Ella?
Yeah, yeah. Ella Morfitt.
Are Kin and Mac both in love with Ella, and they both want to protect her from being in love with Funikin?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Like,
Um
but if we take the idea that both of them are in on it, if either one's in on it, then how could they both want to protect the same person on the same with the same severity?
uh yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point. I was only saying they were in on it because of that other comment
Yeah.
and because Mac's the one playing the music, which does seem to help with
Hmm.
the plan. So, but Ken seems implicated in this being at the end and stuff, and M, it could be Max thing, right? If it's
But
not
why
if it's
would
not
why
actually Moriarty.
doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, first of all, I'd love to.
Ooh,
I
but from the first letter, there's also Percy Moore and Ella and Lionel Morfitt, also M names.
Oh, here we
So I'm
go.
just throwing that out as
I did want to
well.
add that because if I just wanted to say like this is really fun trying to figure out these mysteries because there's not a lot to go on, so we're used to hypothesizing for hours with nothing to go on. Because there's no way that if Mac and Ken are in on it, are the culprits, that they would etch an M on the locket, on the whatever the thing is, right? That they wouldn't do that. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense that they would
Hmm.
like if the locket came with no M, that they would say, well, let's put it in for Moriarty. Well, because one of them's gonna be like, well, what if they think it's me? I'm Mac. I don't
Hmm.
know. But there's like,
Yeah.
well, we're British, so we use surnames, so no one's gonna think it's Mac, right? Like maybe.
Right.
Um.
Right.
But okay, so I'm glad you brought up the Morphin thing. So what were the other M's?
So there's this character Percy Moore who's mentioned only once,
And who? What did
I
they say
think.
about Percy Moore?
An old mathematics society friend, Percy Moore, now holds a post at the diocesan college in Chester, and my friends now married. Ella and Lionel Morfitt both work at St. John's. Unfortunately, none of them want anything to do with me. My attempts to talk to them have been rebuffed. Moore laughed at my pleas 2 weeks ago, and as much told me I should refrain from visiting him again, while Lionel refused to speak with me.
Okay,
Ella, gracious as always, invited me into her small office,
so
but
great.
when I began to broach the subject, her countenance changed and our conversation promptly concluded. So yeah,
I
those are the other M's.
so far I don't think Percy Moore has anything to do with this, but the morph is interesting. I do wonder if to me if it's a locket with an M that can hold a jewel, it feels like Ella's locket. And did somebody take Ella's locket and put the stolen astrolabe jewel in?
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say maybe the actual culprit, if it was Gorwit or
Mhm.
whoever, like took it from someone, like they didn't even know. They're not in on it. So like if it was Max Lockett, then maybe he didn't even know, that it was taken, and or he didn't know who took it and
But
what the
Mac
point
wouldn't have
was.
an M on his locket.
No,
No,
M for Mac.
it would be his surname.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And
I agree. It
why
should
would he
be.
have a locket? Do men wear
Uh,
lockets?
Don't they? I don't know. I mean, what do you do with a locket? I can't you? Why
I
not?
mean, you
Don't don't
can.
don't men wear lockets
I'm just saying,
sometimes?
statistically speaking.
What about yeah, like
Yeah,
they had the like half heart thing in Twin Peaks. I don't know. I mean, isn't it possible? I don't
it
know.
is definitely possible. Famous men with lockets: George Washington,
Famous
Abraham
lockets.
Lincoln, Rocky Balboa. Um, yeah. So this is so tricky. So we do have another letter to read in case letter three, and this is gonna help. But I am very excited about how none of this makes sense. Um, it's very thrilling.
Oh yeah, he does say if it belonged to Mac, I'd expect an MB or simply a B for his
Yeah,
family name. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah.
Not an M.
Yeah.
Um, but like, why would Moriarty have a locket, and why would Finnegan have Moriarty's M locket? They're that close. He
Yeah.
gave me a locket for Christmas, like like, his family locket for Christmas. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So I think it would be a locket from somebody with the family name that starts with M. I think Ella
Yeah.
is still a suspect because we haven't heard from her in a while. There is
Definitely,
this
yeah.
Ella and Lionel thing. They're married, so now we already have a relationship established that like someone could be jealous about,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And maybe Lionel's like, "Hey, don't come around my wife asking for jobs."
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
I'm gonna frame you because you asked my wife about work, and that is too far, my friend. It's 1895, and in this era, we don't accept that. Because we're old fashioned.
That's it would be really hilarious if that's actually the
Yeah,
motive. Like, we don't like it when you ask for a job,
yeah.
and so we're gonna frame you and
Instead of lady doth protest too much, it's Mister doth apply for jobs too much. I don't okay, that's where I'm going with this so far. Is it something to do with Ella's locket? Now, I almost wanted you know what I really wanted was for Funikin to say, "I recognize that locket."
Mhm.
That's what I want. I want him to know whose locket it is, but I want the culprit to have placed the locket for Moriarty. But I want Funikin to know who it came from, and at least the culprit to know who it came from, as a symbol, as a sign to say, "Hey, stay away from this person." But no
Right.
one else, the constable's not going to know who this person is. The constable's going to think it's Moriarty because guess what? I'm the bird who told them, yada yada yada, Moriarty.
Mhm.
That's what I want. That's what I want to have happen. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Uh,
Okay, let me know when you want to go
yeah.
to the next letter because I feel like we've talked a lot about this part of letter three, the first part of letter three.
There was one more thing I just want to throw in, which is because we haven't addressed it, which is there was also a series of numbers scratched more crudely along its
Oh,
bottom.
you think
This is
that's
the
important?
locket. I mean, I don't know if it's important, but it feels random.
Have you
Like,
ever
why
seen
put
numbers be important anywhere?
I once or twice? And it just reminds me of the cigarette case with the numbers on it. It's
Why?
like, is there a thing here?
Why so many numbers? Okay, where is that at in the letter?
So that is on page 2, the second paragraph. Um, right after they're talking about the locket, they say there's letter M, and then there was also a series of numbers scratched more crudely along its bottom.
Wait. Second paragraph? Second full
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah, second full paragraph.
Uh-huh. You're an English professor. Uh Wait, I still can't find it. Second paragraph? Second page?
It starts once the maid left.
Oh, okay. So first paragraph. You're not an English professor.
Okay.
Letter M etched on the locket's lid. Okay, there was also a series of numbers scratched more crudely. Now that's interesting. The more crudely part is
More
the
crudely.
yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, who can tell the crudeness of etchings? I mean, that's a specific skill.
It just stands out to me because it's never mentioned again. It doesn't seem to mean anything,
And this is
and
Funikin, right? Who also saw the same he also
yep,
noticed numbers etched in the cigarette case. So he's the number
yeah.
etching noticer.
Number etching noticer, they should call him that.
He can get a job noticing number etchings.
Okay, let's see. Say yeah, say for some numbers etched across one of its longer sides. Yeah, so
Why would you etch numbers in a locket?
I just think that it's the kind of thing where okay, there's always a possibility of red herring.
Mhm.
But I just asked the question, why is it here if there's no point so
Yeah.
and it feels like it should mean something.
No, I'm glad you
So,
brought that up. I forgot about this. I don't understand why there's and what's even more curious to me about this is the second time Finnegan has noticed numbers etched in a
yeah.
in a metal, right? But he
Yeah.
doesn't say, "Oh, it's a birthday, it's a year,
No.
it's any kind of, oh, a serial number for a bank account." Like he's not
Mhm.
recognizing the patterns of numbers. or he's just noticing that they're numbers etched in something.
Yeah.
Um, so why would someone etch numbers? I mean, this makes it seem like a connection to the constable, right? The constable has a cigarette case with some etchings that
Yep.
he has found.
So he claims.
So
So
we
he
claim.
claimed. Yep.
And now he
Yep.
has found a locket that has numbers etched on it.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
constable again has not asked about the numbers. He doesn't say, "Do you know what these
He
numbers
doesn't say
mean?"
anything about it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think real quick. Of the details that we know about the case, how could numbers be important for a date, a birth date, an interval of time, a hiring date, a firing date, Moriarty's crimes date, a wedding date? How could numbers um, be important?
That all seems valid. Since these are like math people, like maybe there's some, math
The
significance to
astrolabe
the
obviously
numbers.
has something to do with numbers, with trying to find, the position of stars, things like that. But why would you need to etch? I can understand if they found a piece of paper with numbers written on,
Mhm.
but etching is like we have to remember this forever, or this is a significant date, or if anything
Yeah.
fails, the numbers are here.
Right.
So why would they be etched into a locket? And why would that be? It's seemingly on one level so important to etch numbers into it, but so unimportant that you're going to give it up as evidence in a crime to frame somebody. So you
Right.
don't actually need the numbers because you can remember them or write them down somewhere else,
Yeah.
right? But so
Yeah.
you're willing to give up the locket to plant evidence in this, right? So that's
Right.
weird.
Right. Now, if the constable did it, he's the one who's seizing the evidence. So,
Hmm.
there's at least that the possibility. But in general, yeah, it does seem like whoever left it doesn't necessarily care about it, and that it's mainly just about the framing.
Hmm.
So then why are they mentioning the numbers? Or are the numbers supposed to be some kind of message? I mean, he's clearly not getting it if it's true, unless he's concealing the fact that he knows what the numbers mean. I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know why he would even mention it if like it's something he wants to keep a secret.
I am so perplexed by the crudeness of the etching of the numbers. Like it's like somebody's like, "Oh, we gotta put some numbers on this piece of jewelry, but like we don't have time to do it well. We have to do it crudely,
Mhm.
but it
Yeah, yeah,
has to be
that
done."
makes me think it's not the jeweler, for
It's not the
example.
jeweler. It's someone who's not doesn't either have time or the expertise to do it well, or
Now, the jeweler could have done the M,
Julie could have done it.
but in that case, like, anybody goes in there, here, like, put an M on
Yeah,
this,
that's not a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, why would you crudely scratch numbers? That's a hard one.
It doesn't even make sense that it belongs to Moriarty. Like, like, even if it did, what does that mean?
Who cares? Yeah, it feels very random. I mean, like, yeah, no.
They're not
It do
because they're
it
not saying Moriarty's still on the loose, right? They're not
No,
they're
they're
not
definitely
suggesting
not
Moriarty
saying
did this
that.
crime. So
No one's saying that.
yeah.
If that turns out to be true, I'm gonna call
Could
bullshit
you
because that's
imagine
like
could you imagine if every the solution to every Dear Holmes case is Moriarty did it? And they're like, "What did you expect? It's Moriarty.
Yeah. Hello, like, best criminal ever,
Haven't
come
you
on.
aren't you familiar with Sherlock Holmes? Moriarty always did it."
I thought that's what you signed up for,
Yeah,
like,
give
I
us your money.
mean
Moriarty did it. Okay, so the other thing I don't like that sticks out to me is the same paragraph, and a lot of times it has to do with the way Finnegan describes the constable, because this also reminds me of Doth protesting too much about the cuff when he says
Mhm,
like, "Oh, you don't know anyone this locket might belong to," suggesting Moriarty, and as
mhm.
he says no, and he says, You're drawing dead, which by the way is a great line. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna write that in something. I'm stealing it, but I love it. Uh, and then he says, I insisted that I've never seen the locket, but then the constable calmly said, "Oh, just the locket you've never seen then." Like, be that pedantic and to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you haven't seen the locket, but you've seen the ruby. Oh, you know it's a ruby?"
Mhm.
Like the idea that he's like it's a leap that a red stone that seems interesting is a ruby. Like, also, it
Mhm.
makes it seem like the constable knows it's a ruby. I feel like he
Yeah.
he 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 gave his cards up
Mhm.
because at the worst, Funikin is guessing it's a ruby, but the constable seems to suggest it is a ruby. So how does the
Mhm.
constable know it's a ruby?
Yeah. 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 I mean, that could be a known thing, but yeah, I feel like it was just I don't know. I mean, it could just be maybe he's not even saying he knows it's a ruby, but Finnegan is saying he knows it's a ruby,
Hmm.
and that's like suspicious, but yeah, I mean, he's on the list. I got my eye on him, you know. It's possible Finnegan's lying about some of this
Hmm.
stuff, or obfuscating what's going on here, but yeah, I don't know, but maybe he's just a bad constable. I'm not really sure.
Bad constable sounds like a movie. Um, yeah, I agree. Maybe he's a bad. I don't think the constable's in on it, even though there's a lot of weirdness around him. I God, unless he's the jilted lover and he's the one protecting someone from Funikin,
Hmm.
I can't quite see the way he has described his aspect of the case. Doesn't seem like he is the culprit, but he's definitely on the list. So okay, so I think we should go to the next letter.
Yeah.
And let's see what evidence we can discern from there. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
All right. Okay, here is letter number 2 in case letter number 3. That's not confusing. Okay, so we
So it's
got
really letter number 4.
it's
Anyway, go
letter number
ahead.
4 and letter number 3. Yeah, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so it's for telegram for Cheshire Post Office, Cheshire Constabulary, 142 Forgate Street, Cheshire, 5 May 1895. Dear Mr. Holmes, as of this evening, I've completed the actions you requested of me. Along with Mr. Funikin's account of the arrest, which is enclosed in this envelope, I have much to report. Ooh,
Ooh.
yeah, we
I'm
added that.
ready.
Okay. You requested I visit two pawn shops in Cheshire, one belonging to Neil Rayburn,
Oh
the other
no.
I know, new names.
Not
The
names. God damn it.
one belonging to Neil Rayburn, R-A-E Burn, by the way. The
Ray.
other Ray Burn, the other to earn that they never say A in British English, unless you're a pirate. One belonging to Neil Rayburn, the other to Ernest Ballard. I was able to meet with Mr. Rayburn yesterday and have since learned that Cheshire home to home to only one pawnbroker. I spoke with him at 10 in the morning. His
What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's only
I'm
one
totally
now.
confused already, but go ahead.
Holmes said go visit two, and this dude said there's only one. That's what I'm hearing.
But he just named another. Okay.
He said that's what you requested. He didn't say that's what existed.
Okay.
Let me start
Okay.
over. You requested I visit two pawn shops in Cheshire, one belonging to Neil Rayburn,
Mhm.
the other to Ernest Bedlard. I was able to meet Mr. Rayburn yesterday and have since learned that Cheshire is now home to only one pawnbroker,
Okay.
presumably Rayburn.
I
I
let's
spoke
hope
with
so.
him at 10 in the morning. His shop is past Cheshire's Fruit Market, a 25-minute walk from Adelaide Arms, the inn your client was occupying. Uh-oh, was. Ballard's shop is almost exactly halfway to the market across the rectory. When I walked past it, there was a wooden sign nailed to the door, quote, out, period, sick, period, all caps, was written across it in yellow paint. I was told more about this. by Mr. Rayburn, whose shop was empty save for the two of us and his assortment of trinkets. When I first walked in, I spent some time observing the items on display. He has a number of fine rings and an exquisite collection of antique furniture, including impressively large clocks, but no sorts of quote artifacts, such as the astrolabe described in your letter to me. I introduced myself as quote traveling scholar and told the shopkeeper I'm fond of certain antiquities. Do you ever come across such things as dot dot dot? I added antique jewelry. Sorry, and ancient jewelry. For example, an old mariner's tools. Yikes! As I that was editorializing. As I mentioned this, he smiled and nodded, saying, "Yes, yes, just one moment," and he exclaimed, I'm editorializing. He disappeared past the black curtain to the back of the shop and emerged shortly afterwards, carrying a wooden chest the size of a large melon. You guessed the melon. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. Mr. Raper set it down and proudly showed me his most prized possession. This consisted of two meager? Is that how you spell meager?
That's the British way to spell meeker. Yeah.
Wow, they just do everything backwards, don't they?
Yep. Yep.
This
It's
consisted
French, Meg.
oh, there it is. Why pronounce the R? This consisted of two meg raw emeralds, a number of quartz rocks, a chunk of bismuth, which I in fact identified for the pawnbroker, and a tiny pouch containing several misshapen pearls. Recalling your description of the astrolabe, I asked if he happened to have any gemstones resembling a flower petal, perhaps, or even larger, excuse me, perhaps, or any larger refined stones. He shook his head and said, "Nothing too nice has come by here in some months." This is when he confessed that his business had been suffering as of late, in spite of Ballard's shop closing. Ernest Ballard, it turns out, has been, quote, out sick for nearly 2 months. Mr.
Okay.
Rayburn explained that the last time Ballard opened his shop was in March, and that the last time he saw him, 2 weeks ago, the man could hardly speak through his coughs. Quote, he's nearly 60 and has no children, so I expect he'll be closed for good. I thought maybe at least this would mean some more business my way, but that hasn't been the case. Serves me right for any bitter thoughts, end quote. According to Mr. Rayburn, a few people besides his regular customers have patronized his shop recently. Quote, this week has been especially unfortunate. You're the first person to walk through these doors since Wednesday. End quote. I expressed my sympathy and asked if perhaps he was familiar with either of, quote, my two old friends, Mac Butchard and Ken Gorwood. End quote. And he let out a short laugh. I saw Butcher just last week. Comes in maybe once a month, hoping to learn more. I laughed along and joked. Quote, Mac's always looking to make some quick money, huh? Not here, came the reply. He tends to ask about more dot 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 fashionable items. Was looking to buy himself a somewhat opulent cane last week, end quote. Huh. I spent another 10 minutes pursuing the store before. Sorry, I added the huh. I spent another 10 minutes pursuing the store.
Perusing.
Sorry, perusing the store. I knew something was wrong there. Before I'm chasing that store down. It took minutes. Okay. I spent
I
another
can't
10.
believe perusing and pursuing are words. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, jeez. It's like suing and sewing. It's like
Yeah,
words
yeah.
that are. Okay. I spent another 10 minutes perusing the store before leaving, quote, to catch a train. They might have been small lies, Mr. Holmes, but it was a thrill to disguise myself as you so often do.
All right, calm down. God.
As regards to your sensitive inquiries for Mr. Funikin, I took note of his responses and will transcribe them below, colon. When I asked if he suspected his former associates, Ken Gorward and McCann Butchard, of any criminal activity, he responded, quote, if you'd asked me several years ago, extra quote, Mac and Ken, a criminal conspiracy, question mark? I would have vehemently denied that either was capable yet, if the professor were to recruit some from our general classes of advanced students, mathematics students. I cannot deny that Mac and Ken would have probably sat at the top of his list. Therefore, which is not what the letter says, their first rate mathematical minds, sorry, their first rate mathematical minds and highly ambitious. Ken once said to us drunkenly, quote, no reason a clever mathematician can't make thousands a year. Just can't have scruples about the law, end quote. Even still, I can't honestly hold that against him. Many of the people we studied with, including myself, have made similar statements. Mathematics is an incredibly powerful tool for those who know how to wield it. As for Mac, I can't quite imagine him as a criminal either. In our college years, he was mildly obsessed with devising mathematical strategies that might help him win at different games, usually cards. Given his general propensity for losing back then, I'd assume he never came up with a winning formula. But that does seem that. But he does seem to enjoy a lavish lifestyle nowadays. Why would he want to steal the astrolabe? Question mark in quotes. I hope any of that paragraph came through. Okay. When confronted with your inquiry
Read the
regarding
PDF, everybody. All right,
read
go
just
ahead.
read it beforehand, guys.
Why don't you just read the
Oh,
fucking
no, just
PDF?
read the PDF. Don't listen to us. Okay. When confronted with your inquiry with an E, by the way, regarding his work as
Inquiry, please.
oh God, inquiry. Yes, you're right. How dare I? The queen is offended. When confronted with your inquiry regarding his work as chimney sweep, Mr. Finnegan became flustered, though he did
Ah.
provide a response. Sorry, let me read that again. When confronted with your inquiry regarding his work as chimney sweep, Mr. Finnegan became flustered, though he did provide a response. Quote, you've caught me by surprise, but yes, that's true. I apologize for keeping it a secret. I'm ashamed to accept
Man.
work as a chimney sweep and have made every effort to keep others from knowing. I wear the same shirt, trousers, and boots for each job and have been storing the quote uniform in its own bag.
Mm.
Visited the university. Sorry, I just skipped the line. In its own sack, apart from my other belongings, in a corner of the room in the inn. At the inn. When I visited the university, I was sure to wear a clean white shirt and trousers, I did,
Mhm.
with a pair of shoes I use only for formal engagements. I'd kept them neatly stored in my trunk since arriving in Cheshire. I was already mortified to approach Mac and Kin given my past with Moriarty. If they knew I couldn't afford to pay for my lodgings and that I've been working alongside climbing boys, I thought then they'd hardly consider recommending me for a teaching post at Adelard. I must also respectfully ask, how does my work as a chimney sweep relate to the crime? Question mark end quote. I was of course unable to answer his question, though I assured him you would soon provide me with further instructions. Lost. I will sorry. I will remain in Cheshire until we have seen justice brought to this case. Please advise me if there is anything else I can do to assist you in this matter. Awaiting your word, Tierney. Albert didn't
Okay.
give us that much. Albert gave us a couple things, but he added some new stuff I didn't care about and then didn't give us much about what I did care about. What did you think of this letter?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, it makes me think that maybe that wasn't on the right track. And maybe it actually is someone someone
Mm-hmm.
closer at hand
Mm-hmm.
who's involved.
So the pawn shop seemed to
Um
be a dead end. There was only one
cuz
of the two open.
uh yeah, the pawn shop thing was weird. What was yeah, so what happened
It was
there?
weird because he says Mac came in, but he only liked he was looking for fancy things, not selling fancy things. right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and he was in there for a cane or something. So yeah, so that was weird. Um I think uh yeah, opulent cane. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it does seem like a dead end. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this stuff, but I don't know. I ask, why is it here? I feel like it should contribute something to this. But maybe it was just to like close a possible avenue. um I think my there are a few big takeaways I had from this. um
Okay.
so I thought this whole thing about like um you know uh uh math can be used to make thousands if you don't have scruples about the
Yeah.
law,
Yeah,
you
that seems
know.
interesting. And everybody's thought that?
Yeah, yeah, I was like, yeah, we all say this. I
Mhm.
mean, like, really? Okay, that's weird, but
That's
fine.
a mathematician's oath, right? To further the world's knowledge of mathematics and also make some dollar bills, y'all.
That's yeah, that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Yeah, so and yeah, if the professor were to recruit someone,
Mhm.
um you know um so it almost made me think, oh, could Mac and or Ken actually be secretly working for Moriarty,
Yeah.
or connect, like what they're doing is connected somehow to Moriarty, or the fact that Finnegan used to work for him but didn't really work for, I don't know. Like it
Mhm.
just it
It
it, it
almost seems like
raised.
Finnegan wasn't good enough to actually be recruited by Moriarty.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's definitely how it's portrayed there. Um, and I mean, supposedly that's what he said. Well, yeah, I'm gonna assume that's what he said. I hope we can trust this Tierney character, because I don't want to assume everyone's lying here. It gets
Yeah.
exhausting. And like this character seems to not be connected to
You
anything
know,
else in the story. So
what's weird though is I don't know how math is involved in this crime other than some numbers etched on a
yeah,
couple of things, but I don't see how anyone used math to do anything.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not obvious. The
I mean,
yeah,
1
that
plus 1 equals money, we all know that, but
yeah, yeah. Now, you know what I did think though, that reminds me, in the pawn shop scene,
Mhm,
he gets out some meager raw emeralds, some quartz rocks, and a chunk
mhm.
of bismuth, and a tiny okay. So I mean, I know none of that stuff like quite fits, but it did make me think that maybe the rock that was put
Yeah,
uh
somebody
came
got
from
it from
here.
here. I
Yeah.
like that, good call, dude. I like that.
Yeah.
So that puts it at being Mac,
Who was definitely
Butchard.
there.
Butchard, right?
Yeah.
Mac is butchered?
Is that right? I keep getting confused. Yeah, yeah. Ken is Gorwood. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Butchered, so Mac is coming here weekly, but he's not looking to sell stuff. So that's what I was interested that he's not like, "Hey, I got some stuff to sell because I need money. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
sell you fancy stuff I steal." He's actually looking, he's got money and he's looking to buy things. So that's interesting. Like that makes it does seem like he's working for Moriarty because he's making more money than he would as a math professor. He's
Right.
getting money somehow, and
Yeah.
probably Ken is in on it too.
Yeah.
Uh, and so they're both making money somehow, and they're looking. But this guy particularly likes to buy things from pawn shops. It's interesting that Holmes even thought to, I guess that makes sense. Like, hey, if some valuable thing was stolen, maybe somebody pawned it off. Go look at the pawn shops for it. But okay, so that is a good point. This he's got rough stones here and things like that that maybe somebody bought from here. It would have been nice if he said that. Hey, Ken, Matt came and bought a rough stone from
Mm-hmm.
me last week.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I will point this out as a really, we're at a pawn shop here and we want to get specific about the clues here. And we do know, like historically from Sublime's 1996 song Pawn Shop, that down there at the pawn shop, it's the only way to shop. Down there at the pawn shop, if it's not in stone. Down there at the pawn shop, at no end, no way to shop. Down there at the pawn shop, what has been told? Albino made of stone, just remember it's flesh and bone. So I just want to bring that up in the context of this case. Did that help?
Are you serious? Is that a code? Like, are you like, are did you do it? Like, what's going on?
Am I a letter? Am I letter number 5? I'm doomed.
Oh my god, that who
Could
was
Oh
expecting
my
that?
god. Could you imagine if there is no Dear Home service and I am Dear Home service and I created all of these stuff just for your birthday?
Oh my
I would be
god.
the best friend ever and
Oh
all of
my
my
god. Yeah, wow.
now I wish
Bravo.
now I wish I would have done that. I feel bad I didn't think about that. Damn.
And
Damn,
then
I should have spent 20 years planning this one birthday surprise for you. Um,
and then you just show up at the end. It's like, "Oh my god, like, how
yeah,
did you enter this world? Why are you there in
exactly.
1895? I don't
I'll be like,
understand."
"Hey, Justin, lift up your printer," and then, like, the astrolabe was underneath.
Oh my god.
I'm so upset with myself, I didn't think to do that. You know what? Next lifetime, I'm gonna think. I'm gonna shoot higher. I apologize. I should have done a 40 chess game of this for you. That would have been amazing. Who stole the astrolabe? Dr. Justin Young stole it.
No, it wasn't me. I mean, sure, everyone who does
Yeah,
math knows that you should use it for criminal purposes to
exactly.
make
See that?
money.
And that would have been funny because all of the references to mathematicians, like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I was surprised by that.
yeah, the next letter is from like a Swedish university, and like we had a postdoc here who had an astrolabe. I'm sorry, Swiss university,
Swiss. Yeah,
Swiss,
yeah,
not Swedish.
yeah.
The other S word.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
never learned
so
Swedish, god.
okay, so I apologize for not doing that, but I didn't. So back to
But
the
you did
game at
read
hand.
some Sublime lyrics
I
to
did read you some Sublime
some
lyrics.
purpose that I have yet to ascertain, but,
I'm just gonna say, down here at the pawn shop, it's a nifty way to shop. Down here at the pawn shop, it's another sold. That's all I'm gonna say to you.
okay.
I'm trying to solve
Okay.
the case.
Okay, well, I that will let's put that in the case file. So the other thing that, was definitely notable and very much to the point that you brought up about the previous letter is all this business about
Mhm.
the chimney work. And
Yeah.
he's got this uniform that he uses to clean the chimney and he
Yeah.
stores it in the room like he wasn't wearing it. This is
Mhm.
his claim, of course. He
Mhm.
wasn't wearing it to, the place. And I do think like,
It has to be true. Everything he said, the way he describes himself and has been described is consistent with a guy who would not show up with a dirty uniform
yeah.
and dirty clothes. So I'm glad that they confirmed that.
Yeah, and it's not, if he's like a criminal mastermind, like,
Mhm.
like they wouldn't,
Yeah.
like a person like that wouldn't do it either just because it's like, I don't want to leave a bunch of soot
Yeah.
everywhere while I'm doing this crime. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And I do think there's some really nice irony in this idea of this hoity-toity. That's the word I've been looking for. Hoity-toity, and is it not? Is it fastidious? Maybe that's the other word I'm looking for. This guy who's like so up in arms about himself, right, and thinks highly of himself, but actually wasn't smart enough to be recruited by Moriarty. And he's the one
Hmm.
who's going off and going, "Oh no, woe is me! Everyone, I can't get a job because everyone thinks I was like connect to Moriarty? And it's like, well, maybe you actually weren't good enough. Maybe it's that, but maybe you actually weren't that great of a mathematician.
Mhm.
And I think there's some delicious irony of a guy who thinks that the biggest problem in his life is that his associate with Moriarty, and if it wasn't for that, he'd have everything he wanted. When in fact, the people that he's been talking to who won't talk to him, his former colleagues, are the ones who were smart enough to get recruited by Moriarty and are still engaged in like shenanigans.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing I will mention is there's still no mention of any sort of love interest, any sort of other reason why he might be framed, any other to your point, the first case letter did say he didn't think their framing was a coincidence, but I'm still not sure what that really means.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could that that could mean a lot of things. Um but I was just gonna say, you know, like I think it's kind of a rule in mystery, it would go like in my guidebook or whatever. I
Mhm,
think more often than not, the first named suspect is not guilty.
mhm.
So, like I'm just kind of inclined to think that, Finnegan is not guilty here.
Yeah. It would be
Um,
weird if he is guilty.
yeah, like after all this, like I feel like the answer is something else.
Mhm.
So, going on that and assuming he's telling the truth that, that he left his uniform in his room, right, at the inn, and he was wearing clean clothes when he went to the
Yeah.
university, right? so
Yeah.
so he wouldn't have left the soot, like it so what I mean, it basically makes me think that there whoever did it, like
Knew that he had a chimney sweep.
knew that he was doing the chimney sweep stuff, and like specifically like got soot to like plant at the scene of the crime,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I was thinking before, but like I feel like this is almost a confirmation. Like the only other possibility here is that he's just lying and he's also a very dumb criminal. Like and
Yeah.
that's the thing I don't really believe.
The
So
only thing that could be the extra thing that could happen here that I don't think would make sense for this type of mystery is he's got some sort of split personality and he doesn't know what he's doing.
ah
That's the only other thing that
yeah, yeah.
he thinks one thing, but something else is happening.
Right.
I don't think there's any evidence for us to go down that road.
No.
But yeah, so I mean, Ken Gorward is the one who was at the end and he was drinking. He seems to have, if anyone could know that he's also Kid is also a chimney sweep, it would be Ken.
Yeah.
I think remind me, Ken was the one playing the music?
That was Mac, I believe.
Mac was okay. Mac was
Yeah.
playing the music.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, but there might be in on it. But and sorry, let me read again. Who was
They
the
have
one
been
who
typically mentioned together, and I do remember a thing from this second letter that was said something like, if one of them's, in on it, they must both be like one of
Yeah,
them couldn't do it alone. I think
yeah.
they say something along
And
those
Mac
lines.
and so you said Mac Butcher was playing the music, right?
Yes.
He
Yes.
was also the one at the pawn shop coming in
Yep.
about once a month, so he's the one
Right.
who's looking for things. So
Yep.
if he came across something like the astrolabe, he would know where to go sell it. Now, here's a question. Let me go down a little rabbit hole here. What about this thing about the second pawn shop guy who's out sick? Did that stand out as
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird detail. I mean, that goes in the category of like, why are you telling me this? Like,
Mhm,
if there's a thing that they spend time on and it doesn't seem to have a point, then it makes me think, okay, there should be a point, and like we just can't see what it is at this point. So,
mhm,
yeah, I think that's a valid thing to ask about. Like this who is this Ernest Ballard character? So there's no M names here.
mhm.
So I
I
don't think.
would also point out just, It is a pawn shop, and he said there's a bunch of trinkets, so
Yeah.
someone who wanted to buy a locket with an M on it could buy it from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and they could even buy a locket that doesn't have an M and then get the jeweler to put an M.
Yes,
Like there's all sorts of possibilities. But
yeah.
yeah. Um yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But yeah, it's curious. Why write it where there's two pawn shops
Mhm,
and one of them is closed because the pawn guy is sick. Like I it
mhm.
just feels this isn't I mean, these aren't super long, right? This isn't a novel. Like we don't
Well,
need
that's
like
yeah, and it's weird that Sherlock would even know that in this town there's 2 pawn shops. Why does he even
mhm.
know that? I mean, he's Sherlock Holmes, but, like, why does he know that there's 2 pawn
Yeah, he
shops
looked
in
it
this
up
city?
in the pawn shop. I have no idea, like,
Yeah,
why.
pawnshop.com,
Yeah.
they have access to
I
that
mean,
by
maybe he just said visit all the pawn shops. I don't know. Um, I know it does say you requested
he
I
said
visit
if
two
it's a
pawn
2 pawn
shops.
shops. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but yeah. You requested I visit the pawn shops, of which there turned out to be two. Yeah.
Yeah,
It does sound like he knew there was two.
yeah.
I agree. It's hard to get around that. But
It's
I don't know what to make of the sick pawnbroker
it
and the
it seems like it's just a
did
must
something happen
do.
there? Is there some business like because it's closed, like they
Yeah,
could get in there or
I
something?
well, I think Occam's razor is that there just happens to be detail that there's 2, and there's a detail that one we shouldn't think about because it's been closed. That's I wanna say let's just think about the simplest explanation, which is just that, "Hey, by the way, the second one, you don't have to worry about because it was closed the whole time." And they said the guy didn't have any family members, so there wasn't he didn't have any children, so no one else would be opening the pawn shop in his
Mhm.
stead. So all you have to worry about is this one pawn shop, which is where we get most of the information about the pawn shops, right?
Right, right.
Uh,
Right.
I'm gonna assume that's all it means is that
Okay.
there's just a detail that there was two, but hey, by the way, only one was really open in this time frame, and there's no way it would have been opened by anybody else.
Okay.
Plus the main suspect or one of the suspects can or sorry, wait, who's the
Mac.
one? Mac, Butcherd is the
Yeah.
one who has been visiting this one pawn shop, right? So
Right.
I think that means we should focus on that, which is
Okay.
fine. I think that's fine. We should focus on this pawn shop. What I think is interesting too is like he says, okay, second, first page, sort of third paragraph. I don't know how do you decide what a paragraph is. Third paragraph. Um, he says, I introduced myself as a traveling scholar. I'm fond of certain antiquities. By the way, I love that word, antiquities. It's one of my favorite words. Do you ever come across things such as ancient jewelry, for example, on old mariner's tools? And the guy says, yes, yes, just a moment. But he didn't come back with an ancient mariner's tool.
No, he really didn't.
That's
He
what I
he
find
was
really interesting.
well, maybe that's supposed to be ancient jewelry.
That's it. He disappeared past the black curtain to the back of the shop and emerged shortly after, cutting one chest the size of a large melon. What kind of melon? I would love to know. Um, I guess melons are one size. Small, medium, or large. Okay, so Mr. Rayburn set it down and proudly showed me his most prized possessions consisted of two meager raw emeralds, a number of quartz rocks, and a chunk of business. So none of this. Yeah, you're right. These are sort of like ancient jewelry, but they're not mariner's tools, and they're not even finished products. They seem to be pretty rough. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting that the bismuth, which I don't even know what that is.
I don't either. I feel like I should look
Uh,
that up.
yeah, bismuth is a high density silvery pink tinge metal. Uh,
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I see.
oh, it's very
Oh.
pretty. Yeah, very nice.
Oh.
Ooh, bismuth.
Ooh.
Hmm. Its density is 0.79 grams a cubic centimeter. Okay, and now I know the boiling point. Who cares? Okay, so it's interesting that our lawyer knew where bismuth was, and he had to point that out to the pawnbroker.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That was
I
a
think that's the kind of detail
strange
that I
point.
don't know how important that is in this Dear Home series. It's so specific.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think that once we get to the end of this and we see like what the solution is, we'll get a better clue about
Yeah,
how to think about these
God, I hope
letters.
so. I hope so.
Uh,
I hope it's not nebulous.
maybe, all right, it's possible.
Because it's not like he said, "Dear Mr. Holmes, I'm glad you hired me as a lawyer because you know I'm an expert at ancient jewelry,
Mhm.
as well as being a lawyer."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um yeah, so I guess it was like here's my old sort of jewelry. Yeah, I don't know. That it is weird. Yes, yes, just one moment. Here's a
Yeah, he's
bunch of
excited, and it has nothing to do with what he's talking about. Okay, but the very end of that paragraph basically makes it very clear that the astrolabe has not come through. No one has pawned the astrolabe at this pawn shop.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
the other
yeah.
pawn shop is closed. I think we're supposed to take that to, this is lost rules, right? Which is to mean that whoever stole the astrolabe did not pawn it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, I agree. I mean, whoever stole the astrolabe took one of the stones out of it, put it in a locket,
Yes.
and dropped it in that water jug. I think they still have it, whoever had stole it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah. And I think they have it because they want to ruin Finnegan's reputation, not because they want money. Because even the
Yeah.
person who was coming to the pawn shop all the time wasn't coming to sell stuff, he was coming to buy stuff.
Yeah. 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 Now I do think there's room for the possibility that if he's actually in on it, he bought the rock that was put in the thing here. Um
Mhm.
but I mean, but that's a very tiny point that I'm not
And
even 100% sure is
the the
correct.
pawnbroker didn't say Matt came recently and bought a rough
He
stone.
definitely did not say that. I agree. Yeah, yeah. I'm just, I'm just trying. Like that just seems possible, and yeah, they would have to say some bullshit like, "Oh, he forgot," or
Mhm.
Mac's such a good friend. He told him, "Don't tell anyone I bought this." I don't know. They'd have to say something
What's
ridiculous.
one line that stuck out to me on the last page at the top is he says, the bottom of this paragraph ending, he says, "I spent another 10 minutes perusing the store before leaving to catch a train." Oh, never mind. That doesn't make that's fine. Sorry, I thought that was Mac saying that. Okay, never mind. I was like, "Where's Mac going to catch a train?" Okay, this is the guy just saying, "quote I have to leave now." Okay, never mind. That's fine.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I think he just lied to the
Yeah.
pawnbroker that he had to catch a train.
Okay, Justin. I mean, dude, we've had 3 letters, 3 case letters, 4 letters total. I mean, who did it and why? I think that's the other problem is, like, I might be able to figure out who did it, I just don't know why. I'm not
Yeah,
really clear
yeah,
on the why.
yeah. It does seem like the why is gonna require a lot of wild speculation, like the type you
Yeah.
were saying earlier, like there's some intrigue, some romantic intrigue in the background
Yeah.
or some kind of thing about his
Yeah.
career or I
Is
don't
the
know.
last letter, "Dear Mr. Holmes, I forgot to mention I'm engaged to a woman whose family hates me." Like, by the way, I forgot to mention the most important thing in this equation.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I mean, that's what it yeah, it seems like that's what it's gonna have to be because he didn't he definitely has not provided clear information of
Mhm.
um people who have a grudge against him.
Yeah.
Now I did as I was perusing the first letter, I did remember
You were
or
perusing or
I
pursuing
was
it?
pursuing actually the first letter, and I saw this little bit that I had forgotten about where this is yeah, this is Finnegan talking about being taken to the station.
Okay.
It says he apprehended me shortly afterwards, and my former colleagues were unrepentant at the station. Matt claimed I must have hidden away the artifact, whilst Ken repeatedly explained that I was Professor Moriarty's protege and therefore, quote, obviously a Viper. Like the vindictive, I don't know, to me, like, there's just something weird. To me, this is the
Hmm.
closest I could get to, like, it seems like people, they have this grudge against it, like,
Yeah.
it's going beyond, like, we don't want to give you a job, and like, oh, maybe you're just not good enough for this job or whatever. It's like no, like, we,
Yeah.
we really, like, either
We
A,
have to
they really
destroy you.
think he's guilty and they
Yeah.
really think he's a bad person, or
Yeah.
B, they're lying and they're in on,
Yeah.
so anyway, that's the closest I could get to anyone who's like openly, like, seems like they have a grudge against him. So
Hmm.
anyway, that seems like that's what it's pointing to, but at the same time it feels too obvious. So I feel like there should be something more to the story than that. I'm still trying to work out the details of like what actually happened. Like, did what, was the charwoman involved? What, did she use the key? Did she collaborate as well, or did they just like take the key and get a copy made and then give it back, or
Mm.
some kind of elaborate thing like that, where like they actually used the key and grabbed it and then broke the case and put the stone in there. But all of that is still weird to me because I still don't understand why they did that stuff. Because it doesn't seem like if that's a message, like, who's it a message to? Like, is that
What?
supposed to
Take the
be?
key. Yeah. There's no reason to use the key to open the case if you're gonna break it later to frame somebody. You
Yeah.
might as well just break it and frame the person.
Yeah, just break, just break it. What are you
Just
doing?
break
Yeah.
it.
So I mean, maybe that didn't happen, and maybe the thing about like I didn't actually see the astrolabe or whatever is just a red hair. I mean, that
Hmm.
person I'm suspecting might be guilty anyway, so like, I I don't know. You can't necessarily believe anything he said. I mean, why didn't he just say I saw the astrolabe? Like, that just, that's a weird thing, but maybe it's just a red herring or something, and maybe it was just taken when the glass was broken. But I still don't understand why the stone's there. I don't
I
understand
guess
what.
he can't say I saw when I was going to the toilet, TMI, uh, and I came back to my office, I saw the ashlight was missing because then he would have had to alert people then, and he waited for the charwoman to make the alert, and then for him and his friend to come and go, "Oh, it's missing."
Hmm.
So that's the only reason I would think is so that someone else can be the person who finds it missing.
Hmm.
But that's not that strong of a reason, but that's the only reason I can think of. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
uh,
But yeah, I just like, it doesn't seem like Finnegan is getting the message,
here's
if
a
there is
question.
a message.
Here's a question. Now, maybe this is going to be the key to the whole thing.
Okay.
Here's the key to the whole. I think I just solved it. You ready for me to solve
Do
it?
it. Solve it. Let's go. I'm ready.
How, if somebody wants to frame Finnegan for this crime for some personal reason, how can they be assured he would show up to the university and be a suspect? They would have to make sure that he got an interview
Yes.
to come there in the first place. Everything starts with Finnegan coming to the university for an
It's a
interview.
little deeper than that, I think, because not only does he have to be there, but there's also the business that when it was actually taken was not the day of the interview, but the day before, when he had a tour that I think he booked himself. So, they would have to know that he was going to do that. I mean, that
That
almost,
he would come to the tour the day before
the
the
day
interview.
before. Yeah. Yeah. Now, y you know,
But it wasn't stolen until the day of the interview. He just happened to say that he saw it when he was on the tour, but it wasn't stolen the day of the
oh, it
tour.
was stolen the next day.
It was stolen the day of the interview.
He just said he saw it the previous
He just
day.
said, "Hey, I happen to
Wait,
notice."
is that right? Okay, hold
Yeah,
on. Now I'm confused
I'm
about the
pretty sure that's right.
timeline.
Pretty sure that's right.
Okay,
First
okay,
letter.
okay. Yeah, that's what I'm going back to here.
And I
Uh,
will be straight to Mr. Holmes. I'm in fact familiar with the stolen object, but only superficially. I saw it for the first time on a brief tour to Adelaide yesterday when I learned it had been part of the college collection for some time. So yeah, it wasn't stolen on the day of the tour. It was stolen the next day of his interview.
uh,
Because that's the day that he saw Ken. Oh,
okay.
now actually, let's make sure that's true. What was the day that he saw Ken and Mac, and they didn't talk to him?
Oh, that was the day before the interview
Huh?
as well.
So the day of the tour, that's when he sees Mac and Ken, and they don't talk to him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. This is a long letter. Okay, most recently, I secured an interview with for a tutoring position at Allied College Mathematics Department, where two of my best friends, Mac and Clint, were currently brilliant, enjoying brilliant careers. I saw my pride and arrived the day before my interview to speak with them.
Wait, are you
Hoping
sure it
one or
wasn't
both
the
of
day
them will
before?
hoping one or both of them might be willing to testify their characters walking on the path, or the officers noticed them ahead of me and approached both of them. Both 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 of them cut me dead and refused to even glance my direction. I pleaded with them to listen. Okay. The day of the tour is when he saw Ken and Mac. Okay, but when was it taken? He says, dejected, I returned to the inn where I had been staying. I woke rather late today. That's got to be the next day.
Yeah,
Went down for a simple lunch of bread and cheese before my interview at the
before my
college.
interview.
Yes, and that
When
is
I
what.
learned of the accusations.
Okay, well, when the accusations is not the same as when it was taken. Um, damn, when was it taken?
Yeah, that maybe the second letter says when it was taken. I really think it was taken on the interview day
Dang, I thought that was easy to know. Let me see.
because he never did the interview.
Yeah. He says, I first learned, okay, this is the second letter from the constable. I first learned of the theft at Adelaide College just after 9 in the morning on the 1st of May. So his letter is the 3rd of May. Fundekin's letter is the 1st of May. Shit, what does that mean? So that's the day it was taken. Does that mean that was the day of the tour?
Why is this so hard? Okay. 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 Yeah, I feel like there must be some clear statement about that. Okay, let's see. Blah blah blah.
Okay, I first learned of the theft of the Allied College just after the 9 in the morning on the 1st of May. I was making my rounds when two professors came running to me. Okay, so that's definitely when it was taken. The 1st of May is when it was taken. So let's figure out from the first letter when his interview was, because the letter was dated 1st of May.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, he wrote the letter the same
Okay,
day.
the same day was taken, but was it taken a day after his interview? The day after the tour? That's the question. It wasn't taken on the tour day because he says, aha, here we go. Aha, I saw it on my brief tour of Adelaide College yesterday, which was the 31st of March or whatever. Whatever comes before the 1st of May is a day of his tour. That's what it is. It was taken on the 1st of May. The day before was his tour. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's clear. That's clear. Did that solve the case? Did we solve it?
Okay, no, because here's the problem.
No problem.
Um, oh, never mind. No, you're right. Here it is. It's here it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Page 3, second paragraph using non-English professor rules. It says the day before the theft, he'd paid a visit to the school.
Yeah. March
So
31st, the day before the theft,
yeah,
it
so the
was,
day of the theft was the day of the interview.
which is April 1st. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
Sorry. I got my dates wrong.
Okay, so
Wait.
the day of the interview. Okay, so they would know about the interview, so that makes it easier to plan.
Wait. Sorry. I first learned of the theft at LA College just after 9 in the morning on the 1st of May. Okay. So that means it means April 31st. Sorry, April 30th. April has 30 days. April
Yeah,
30th is when the tour was.
yeah,
But the first is when the theft was, which is also when he learned about it. He learned about it on the same day.
yeah.
Okay. Did that solve the
And the
case?
first letter was written, but yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. This
And
was
the first
yeah.
episode. It makes sense. He wrote it on the day he was accused. That's what he.
Question. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, okay. Yeah, I got confused. I thought it was taken when he did the tour, but it was actually taken.
Yeah.
I think that this is what they say at the beginning. The when he goes for the tour, it says the constable says it was during that time waiting in the atrium I surmised that he hatched his plan to steal the astrolabe.
Mhm.
So this he's speculating
He
that he went for
hatched
the
it.
tour,
He
saw
didn't do
it,
it yet.
and then yeah, and did it the next day.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that was the day before
But I
the
gotta
theft.
say, it's not even a great plan for Funacard, right? Funican, right? Because like we don't know that he knows a pawnbroker. We don't know he knows what to do with it to
Yeah,
sell it. Now we do know he's hard up for money. We do, but he also seems to be a guy who has a certain morality to him, where even though he's ashamed of his stature in life right now, that stealing to make heirs to be above his station wouldn't doesn't seem like he would do that. And it doesn't seem like he had an easy access to sell it to somebody who would give him the money.
yeah,
And it doesn't look like he wants money. What he seems like he wants is a reputation. He wants a
yeah,
job
yeah,
and career and a reputation.
yeah,
He doesn't just want money. So that's what's
definitely.
interesting. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I don't even it doesn't make sense
I mean,
that
go back to that thing of, everyone who does math knows that
mhm,
you should use it to get money, but you have to you have to
mhm,
not have scruples or whatever they
yeah,
said. Like,
yeah.
so that kind of implies that he could probably make money if he wanted to,
Mhm.
but he's trying to do it like the right way. At least that's
Yeah,
the way he's
so
portraying
why
himself.
go so low as to be a chimney sweep if he himself acknowledges he could make money by ignoring the law and
Yeah.
using it? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah, no, I don't think that Finnegan is guilty here. I think it's somebody else. I feel like Mac and Ken are the
I feel
only
like
hesitation is I feel like they're too obvious.
I feel like it's too obvious. I feel like I don't know the why either.
I
I
definitely
don't
don't
know
know
the
the
why.
why. The why is always harder. So
They have
I'm
that they have the opportunity. I just don't know the
definitely.
motive. I don't know why they would do it. And I'm worried that the 4th letter that we have, I can't believe the 4th letter is gonna answer everything. Is gonna be Sherlock Holmes saying, "Here's what happened and
Is
why."
that how it works? I'm kind of confused about
I
how it
don't
even
really
works.
know.
Do they
I don't
even tell you the answer, or you're still supposed
they
to guess the
do
answer?
I think the last letter is Holmes explaining what happened and why and how and who did it.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
don't know if letter 4 is that letter. I don't know if
Okay.
it's expecting a 5th letter or not. Um,
Okay.
so if you're ready, we could go look at letter 4 and see if that explains things.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, we could do that. You want to do it on this one?
Let's do another podcast.
Okay.
We'll end this one here for podcast number 3
All
for
right.
this.
You decide.
Yeah. What do you think happened so far? You guys have read the letter. You have heard what we talked about. What do you think so far? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
Who you
yeah.
think did it. I mean, I'll tell you who I think did it so far. Listen, I'm still looking at Ella. I think there's something with that relationship with Ella and Moffat, her husband. Something weird there. But that's just me like adding more to the puzzle than I think is really there.
Mhm.
But I think Ken and Mac are the obvious suspects. They have to do with his pawn shop. Mac, he's always looking for stuff at the pawn shop. They both have money. It's really the why. Why would they go this far? And I really think it's Ewan Finnegan's fault for not telling us more about the why. I think he knows more why he might be framed, and I feel like he's not telling us why. Um,
Yeah.
Somebody might frame because I almost feel like he's too oblivious to even know why.
Mhm.
But I think there's a really obvious why he would be framed, and I also think there's this interesting idea that Mac and Ken were working with Moriarty and nobody knew about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're still having fine careers because nobody found out about it, and Finnegan was a scapegoat and because nobody cared about him, and so they said, "Oh yeah, he was working with Moriarty too. Yeah, nobody cared about him, so he can like be thrown on the bus." But Ken and Mac were reeling in on it, so therefore they were more surreptitious about their connection to him, right? So they've been, and maybe that's the thing too. What if they're gonna be exposed soon? Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's a reason to pin something on Finnegan is like Mac and Ken's relationship with Moriarty is gonna be
Ooh,
exposed.
did he threaten to expose them?
Did he threaten? I don't feel like he knows. I feel like
You
he
don't
would
think
have
he knows?
said, but maybe somebody else threatened to expose
You don't
him.
think he would keep that a secret because dot 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 I don't know why. Um, I'm just trying to come up with a motive, for
Uh
like
huh.
why him? Like, is it really just he was there and they're like, well, we'll just
Hmm.
like there isn't really a particular motive, just like they wanted to pin it on somebody. But then what's the point, right? Because it seems like it wasn't for the money and like he's not getting the message.
It almost seems like if Bunnikin gets hired at a college, that fact will alert people to know what Ken and Mac did. It almost seems like they're trying to stop him from getting hired because that will expose them. That's what it seems.
Mhm.
So I don't know how that really works in practice, but that's what it seems like. Like they're trying to make sure he doesn't get hired, and he was only going for a tutoring position. He wasn't even trying to be a professor or anything.
Right.
Like, but if he gets hired somewhere, people are gonna know that other people were involved with Moriarty, including them, and that's gonna ruin their style. But I guess the unanswered question is, how are they living it up so much money wise?
Yeah.
Max going once a month to like figure out to buy stuff at the pawn shop, and
Mhm.
it seems to suggest professors aren't making enough to do that normally. So I don't know what professors made in 1895, but they're suggesting that they're making enough to where they're very comfortable,
Yeah.
which means they have something to protect.
Yeah.
Uh, so what would it mean for them to hide the fact that they were the Moriarty? Like I guess that's the question. What are the threats, right? What are the threats to them? Somebody pinning them to Moriarty. If we take Finnegan's theory at heart, that he can't get a job because of his connection to Moriarty, then maybe that'll be true for Mac and Ken. That if somebody finds out that they are
Mhm.
connected, they will be fired. They won't have their jobs. Um, so, but why steal the astrolabe?
Yeah, maybe they're just worried if he gets too close. But yeah, it just seems so elaborate. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just how these stories go. I don't know. Another thing I wanted to throw out was this chambermaid. I don't really have a
Mm-hmm.
specific accusation to make, but this chambermaid is like named,
Mm-hmm.
and she's the one who brings the water. And also, like, he left his sooty uniform in the room that she
Mm-hmm.
would have access to. So I'm just saying, like, if the chambermaid's involved, I just want to make sure I say that that's a possibility.
What's her name? She's
Winnie,
well.
Winifred Dewar.
You know what a W upside down is?
I do, and that's a good point. Actually, it could actually be. It isn't an M. It's actually a W. That's hey, throw it in. Throw it in.
Throw it in the pot.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Oh
But what does
shit.
this mean? Like, does this mean that Mac is like swooning her and is like, "Hey, Winnie girl, you so Welsh. I love me some
You
Welsh
just got here last week from Wales.
Yeah, you from Wales, you kinda British, and, like, maybe you want me to help you out somehow. I don't know how it works.
I
Uh,
agree. I think that's a problem, but, wasn't that a comment? Wasn't there a comment? What was the thing in the first one about that?
the first letter?
I think was it the first letter? God, I wish I could. I don't remember where anything is. Let's see. Oh no, I think it was the second letter. Um, blah blah blah. Oh yeah. It says Butcher has a far from favorable reputation with the barmaids. Oh, and that's actually I already forgot his name. Mac. That's not the other guy whose name I also forget.
Ken?
Ken. Oh my god.
Ken
Okay.
Goward Mac Butchard.
Yes. I don't know why. That's like the hardest names
They're
for me to
weird names
remember.
somehow, I don't know why either, they're weird names.
So barmaid isn't the same as chambermaid, but they both end in maid. Anyway, like, I guess, like, this is like really going out on a limb here. I don't think this is true, but just throwing it out there that it's like some kind of weird, he's threatening her with something. I don't know. I'll get you fired. I don't know what, to convince her to do it, or he just paid her off, to do it. I don't know. It just seems like, A, she's named, B, she has access to some of this stuff. So I just feel like I want to make sure I cover all my bases here.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so I just want to say, if there's anything going on with this chambermaid, I just gotta make sure I throw that in, before we end this.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is tough, this is tough. I don't know what to do with
It
this.
is, it is. Yeah, I mean, it is gonna be hilarious if they're like, "It was Ella all along," and it's like,
Yeah,
"Oh my god, really?"
yeah.
Like, someone we haven't mentioned since a very brief paragraph in the first
Yeah,
letter.
and it's just like, we'll just explain how it works, but all the other letters were red herrings.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying I feel like, uh once we figure out what the answer is to this, then we can kind of look over it and see, like, how they build these things and how much of this stuff is just red herring or incidental detail, and like how they reveal their clues and what the dots they're expecting us to connect. I'm
Yeah.
still confused about the dawn and night, like, discrepancy. I find that to be really
Mhm.
unsettling. I because they knew what
Especially
they.
since nighttime and dawn are very close if it's the same day. You know what I mean? Like very late at night is also early in the morning.
Oh, you think that's what he's saying? Like,
I don't
he
think that's what he's
describes it.
saying, but
Okay.
I'm just saying if it was this, like, you know, 4 a.m. on a day is not the same as 11 p.m. on the same day, right? But there is a connection. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's let's see.
I mean, dawn is
Uh
5, 6, 7 a.m., right? And that's not the same thing as night on the same day. So,
yeah, so it says uh it says on the night of my arrest, I'd been in my room, blah blah blah. And then it says Constable Sallow began pounding at my door. This was moments before 8. Like, I don't think he would describe 8 as the time at night unless it's, if it's dawn.
yeah, that's not dawn. 8 p.m. is not dawn. No, no.
Like if it was 4,
Yeah,
then I could sort of see, okay, maybe it's dawn, but it's also night. But
yeah, exactly.
so anyway, I'm still I don't know. It's like why would the constable lie about when he's going to go, or did something happen in between the two where like he got held up with something and then
Mhm,
but then
mhm.
like why? I just why would they do this? Why don't they just say he came into
He's
it's
like,
just
well, why would he come at dawn in to begin with?
well, I don't know. I assumed he was just doing the first thing like the next day
I
when he
mean,
got
dawn
up,
is really specific.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I plan to pay a visit at dawn. Uh, so yeah, it's like, is he like, why would you even lie about that? Like, I'm going to tell Holmes that I'm going at dawn, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna go until late that evening. Like, what? Like, who care? Like, I don't understand. Is it a clue? Did they just fuck up? Like, I don't even know what to think. But it's bothering me. So there. I have to say it.
All right. You ready for the next letter?
Yes, yes, we can close this one out.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Thanks everybody for following along with us for case letter 3, and we'll be back next time for case letter 4.
Thank you, thank you. Bye
Thanks.
everybody.